Well, thanks to everybody for joining us today. When I was contacted to speak about solo traveling and in particular traveling on a budget, I was so excited because once you go through the experience, we're going there. All right, well, once you go through the experience on your own and learn all about it, of course you want to share that with others. So I created a blog called Court in the Fort, and that's C-O-R-T because know you, because yous are you. Anyways, so here we go. Are we sharing the presentation? Wonderful. All right, so the reason why we're here is because traveling, going on vacation, it's good for us. It's good for our mental health, and you know what? We deserve it, okay? We work really hard, and I think everybody saw with COVID-19 just the burnout rates, and so what's wonderful about road tripping is it's so popular now. And even with gas prices high, we can still work together to put together a great trip on a budget. So the point is, let's get the biggest bang for your buck. And we are going to bust some myths. Okay, so hi, my name's Cortney Gumbleton, and I love to travel on a budget. So I thought this was a great little quote. There's only one place I want to go, and it's to all the places I've never been. Isn't that the truth? It's so true. I thought this was kind of fun. So this presentation in particular, we're going to talk about road tripping. And I saw this and thought it was kind of fun. So the first thing that you want to do is define who's going to be in your road trip party. And so here you see the driver. You know, their job is to drive, focus on the road, don't kill everybody. The passenger, that's the DJ, stay awake, maybe swap out, look at the maps. And then here you have the back seat, right? They hand out snacks, complain about leg room, and they take naps. So you get to decide on your trip which role you would like to take. Okay, so I just read an article in it was either the Wall Street Journal I think it was the Wall Street Journal. It came out 2 weeks ago, and this is the title: Even with high gas prices, the open road still beckons. A few months ago, you used to be able to buy a plane ticket to Las Vegas for $49. Fun fact, I've actually never been to Las Vegas, but anyways, just thought I'd share that. But you used to be able to just buy, a ticket for $49. Well, I looked the other day just for fun, and it's like $300-something now. So it's not just gas prices that have gone up too. Industries are still recovering after COVID. So let's prepare your car. So you've decided you're gonna go on a road trip. The first thing you have to do is prepare your car. This means getting your oil changed, right? You don't want to be stuck out in the middle of nowhere. In a little bit, we'll talk about how I got lost on an Indian reservation for about 3 hours, so that was fun. Don't forget to get your tires rotated, your fluids refilled, filters changed, find your registration and insurance, make sure that they are accessible. And I like to start off my trip with a clean vehicle. So that means vacuum all the Cheerios out from the bottom of your floor mats. If you're a mom like me, you know what I'm talking about. So what's the easiest way to plan a trip? So some of us enjoy the aspect of planning a trip, right? That's almost as fun as being on the trip itself, is looking on Pinterest and checking out Airbnb, gaining inspiration, creating that bucket list of what your trip could be. However, some people really aren't into that. And so for both of those groups, I would highly recommend the Road Trippers app. If you go to my blog, I think there might be a code. I don't get anything from it. I found a code on somebody else's blog where I think you get a discount. $29.99 a year. Once again, I am not affiliated with Road Trippers at all. But I wanted to be able to say, I'm starting my trip at my house. And this is where, and these are all the places that I want to go. And then I want to end at my house. And this is part of the trip that I took over the summer. I took a few different trips. I love making a circle in a trip, right? It just feels efficient. But as you can see, here we have places that are overlook spots, scenic overlooks. We have hotels, restaurants, historical markers, excursions, you name it. And this app gives you a lot of control to select what you're looking for. Highly versatile. All right, here's another one. This is called Gas Buddy. Also, I want everybody to know I'm happy to share this PowerPoint presentation, and pretty much everything I'm covering is listed under the tips section on my blog. So don't feel like you need to be writing everything down right away. So back to Gas Buddy. This shows you, this is actually a heat map that shows you the cost of gas. I got this today at 4 o'clock, so this is fresh. And what's really cool is you're able to plan where you're going. If you're going to San Angelo, you can indicate that, and it will say $2.89. I know, because I just looked at that. So this way you can look to see what are the gas rates around you, and if there's a gas station, there's 2 gas stations across the street from each other, and one of them is 30 cents cheaper, well, then there you go. Another tip is to save money on food, right? I mean, I think when you think of a road trip, the 3 major expenses are going to be gas, food, and accommodations, plus excursions. So save money on food. What you can do is pack a large cooler full of drinks, snacks, food for your trip. One recipe that I love is, to all those folks who love Panera, Panera makes this incredible Napa almond chicken salad recipe, and I found a copycat recipe on Pinterest, and I made a big batch of that, put it in Tupperware. I packed a loaf of bread, paper plates, and this is not actually a picture of my cooler. Mine was much messier. But I had everything, and those were my dinners. Those were my breakfasts. And I will tell you in a little bit about my lunches, but I packed beef jerky, Chex Party Mix, sunflower seeds, espresso beans, you know, just something to pop in your mouth when you're driving. There's tons of ideas all over Pinterest. Okay, this is really important. Okay, lesson learned. Buy a cooler with a drain plug, okay? Because what ended up happening is every morning, so when I first took off, I filled up the cooler with, I don't know, a 10-pound bag of ice, put it all over the top of everything, and the next day, everything had kind of melted a little bit, and the water had started to leak into the Tupperware a little bit, and I started looking for the drain plug on this cooler, and that's when I realized that it didn't have one. And so, lesson learned, next time I am going to buy a cooler with a drain plug, because it would be so much easier to just unplug it and tilt it instead of having to have your whole arm across. So lesson learned. So pack your own lunch and dinner, grab paper plates, silverware. I actually just bought some cheap, it's reusable. I bought some cheap, like gray farmhouse, plasticky looking silverware from Walmart that I actually love, and so I packed that. Another tip is to, as much as it might break your heart, to do it on a budget, skip the coffee shops. Because guess what? You're going to be staying at a hotel that has coffee and tea there, as well as breakfast. So I'm one of those hotel hoarders that I always grab the shower cap, the shampoos, the soap, the coffee, and the tea packets. I don't know why. I think it's for my grandmother, but I've just always done that. And another idea that I found really helpful is to pack, I'm saying Nalgene water bottles, but reusable water bottles. I like the Nalgene water bottles in particular because you can swap out the top for, because the ones that we get that fit into our hiking packs are the big mouth. And we went to REI and swapped out some tops, some smallmouth tops, as well as the top with the straw and filter. So if you want to check those out, those are great, so great. Instead of buying a ton of water bottles, just refill the water bottles that you have. And what's really great about the Nalgene with the big mouth top is you can dump a ton of ice in that too. Which means if you dump ice in it every single morning when you're getting ice, that it will stay cold all day. For me, just myself, I brought 3 Nalgene bottles, and so I swapped them out all throughout the day during my trip. Okay, so you are going to be saving money by having a free continental breakfast at your hotel. So you won't even need to worry about going out for breakfast because you can save money there. But what I like to do is I like to go out to lunch. And this is actually a picture of a place that I went to in New Mexico, a fun little diner. The whole outside of it was, I think it's called the Wow Diner. And as you can see, wow. The whole outside was all shiny aluminum silver, kind of like an Airstream, very retro. And for lunch, I ordered a club sandwich. I ate half of it there, and then I just took the other half back to the hotel room for dinner. All right, let's talk about the hotel room. I'm gonna be vulnerable and completely honest here when I say that I think the lowest level hotel I had ever stayed at was a Comfort Inn and Suites. I don't know if they have a bunch of those here, but this was the first time that I stayed, not like it's a big thing, but that I stayed at a Days Inn, okay? Like I have driven by Days Inn, you know, Super 8s, Motel 6. I've driven by all of those all of my life, and never did I think that I would be staying there. But guess what? They're actually pretty nice. Oops, sorry about that. They really are. So one thing that I like to do on my trip is I don't plan which hotel, I don't book my reservation for the hotel until that evening. And the reason why is because I've been burned by booking everything in advance. Sometimes, especially with COVID, if you make plans to go somewhere and then you show up and then they're closed or they're booked, then you kind of don't really know what to do. You get ahead of schedule in your itinerary, and you know you don't want to waste your time. You want to check out as many things as you can. And that happened to my husband and I in September when we went to Napa and Tahoe and Sequoia, San Francisco, Monterey. All of that is, I booked all of the hotels in advance on that trip because everything was so busy that we ended up paying, I think, $800 extra because we had to basically double book hotels in the city ahead each day. So I learned my lesson on that. But this trip was before that one. And I have been using Hotel Tonight for years now. And what's cool about the Hotel Tonight app is, and once again, none of these, I'm not affiliated with any of these, is Hotel Tonight. The longer you wait to book your hotel room, the better rate you're gonna get. And that's why I'm in the habit of waiting as long as I can. So that's why I would go to dinner with friends and then have a cocktail and then book my room. Because at that point, the hotels just want to break even. But once I compared Hotel Tonight with Booking.com, I realized that Booking.com actually has better deals. I used Booking.com for, I think, all of my hotel stays for a week trip in New Mexico. I stayed at 2-star hotels the entire time. And this one in particular was in Albuquerque. And I have to be totally honest with you, when I pulled up to the outside of it, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Because the vehicle next to mine, like the window looked like it had been bashed out of it, had a garbage bag in it, and I was just like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And I was thinking, I don't want to spend $70 on this room, not be happy here, and then deciding to spend $200 somewhere else. But I decided I was gonna walk into the lobby and give it a try. And I did, and this ended up being a really nice room, super nice. Albuquerque is known for the balloon festival, and all of the rooms that I booked, here's another little fun tip. Well, I like going on trips by myself. The reason why is because I can do what I want, eat what I want, see what I want, whenever I want without having to really acquiesce to another person. So I always got rooms with 2 queen beds, and the reason why is because then you have a lot of pillows, right? So, true story, I sleep with 6 pillows, just myself, 2 back here, 2 on the side, anyways. So my advice is to check out Booking.com. And what was really cool about this one, the security deposit was only $50. And that's what's nice about these 2-star hotels is they have a continental breakfast. They'll give you coffee. When I went, I just said, I was like, look, it's just me. I'm gonna go to bed by 9 o'clock. I'm waking up super early to go hiking. Can you please find a spot for me that's really quiet and not by any families or parties? And they're like, absolutely. So just communicating to them about that was really helpful. And what was funny about this hotel room is the security deposit for locals was $250. But if you were from out of town, it was only $50. And I asked them why, and they said it was to avoid damage from parties and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Because when you're doing a road trip and you're staying at, hotel after hotel or motel after motel, it does, it might be a little while, a week or so, until that money's refunded back on your card. So you just have to know that, right? So $50, that was really nice. I always read the reviews. I think just as a society, that's how we are, right? And so if I read something, and I always look at the pictures, like all the pictures, because you don't want to read about it, and it's only $40 to stay there, but somebody's complaining about bed bugs. Yeah. I otherwise not. Sometimes when I travel, I book Airbnbs, but it really just kind of depends on where I'm going. Like in Portland, I booked an Airbnb because they had a wonderful garden and chickens. I just wanted that experience. But one big drawback with Airbnbs, at least to stay there, are the cleaning fees. Sometimes the cleaning fees are $80. And that's more than what I spent for this hotel room, and breakfast, and coffee. Whoa, what's this? All right. So this is for the National Park Pass, and I think National and State. I don't know, I should have added a label here. Sorry about that, y'all. But the Park Pass, I think, is $80 a year. There is a link on my website. I'm sorry, on the blog, the link to get your own. I don't have a code or anything like that for it. I am a veteran. I served 2 tours in the Navy, so I actually qualify for a free park pass. So there are people who can qualify for park passes based on your disability status, your age, all kinds of things. So look into that. It's a free park pass, but it's wonderful. And all these passes have bathroom, showers, water stations, all of that. Okay, so they used to be called activities, but now we call them excursions. This is one of the most fun parts about planning a trip, is deciding your excursions. Now here's the deal. Excursions add up. They can get really expensive. I mean, let me see, we went to the Grand Canyon in May, and that was, they had helicopter rides over the Grand Canyon, just all of these things, and it was just hundreds and thousands of dollars. And I just don't have a budget for something like that. And but you don't have to. So check out websites like TripAdvisor, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Viator, and Pinterest to discover fun excursions. Another really fun resource is to check out the Airbnb Experiences. My teenage son and I I think we took a 13-day trip to Seattle and Portland a couple summers ago. And when we were staying in Portland, we looked up an Airbnb experience. It was actually a nonprofit organization called Bunnies in Baskets. And it literally is exactly what it sounds like. We paid $5 a person, which went to this nonprofit, and we got to hold these bunnies, put hats on them, use a little Barbie brush on for as long as we wanted. It was awesome. And we got to learn about the organization and their mission and the stories about each one of these bunnies and how they ended up there. It was just really a fascinating experience, organized by locals, supporting a nonprofit, and we spent $10. So that was really cool. Spend the night, sorry, that's supposed to be spend the night in a more affordable city. So over the summer when I went to New Mexico, I spent the first night in Santa Fe, then I was gonna stay in Taos, and I did the Enchanted Circle. If you guys have ever done that, it's super cool. And honestly, the hotel rooms in Taos were so expensive. They're really expensive, and the traffic was really bad. There was a lot of construction, and I knew the very next morning I wanted to do the aerial tram, which is what you're seeing here. This is the aerial tram in Albuquerque in Sandia's Peak, I think. It was amazing, $35 for the tram. And so I decided I was just going to drive to Albuquerque that night, go to bed early, and wake up early and be a part of that first group that went up there. And it was such an awesome experience, it really was. So here's some more tips. Carry cash, right? Avoid the ATM fees. Also, you're protecting your card. I like to have cash. I'm a huge fan of Audible. However, I live in Parker County. If I lived in Tarrant County or Fort Worth, I would be a member here at the library. I would qualify to be a member here, and you guys have your own connection where you can download audiobooks. Someday I'll be here and do that. But the point is, save all that money. You don't even need an Audible subscription. Use the Fort Worth Library's subscription and make sure to download a bunch of books. I love Reese Witherspoon's book club right now. It used to be Oprah's book club, it used to be her book club that we fawned over, and now it's Reese Witherspoon's book club. And I think, I've listened to so many good books from that. Where the Crawdads Sing, which is now coming out in a movie. So many good books. But when I'm driving, I love to listen to a story. I love to imagine it in my mind, and I don't know, it's part of the journey, right? Pack a first aid kit, especially if you're going hiking. That's one thing I always do is pack moleskin bandages, because in case I get blisters from my hiking boots. It's just good to have, though. Print and download maps. I tend to use either Google Maps when I travel or the Road Trippers app. However, if you are in extremely rural territory, the maps won't work. And so it is nice to have a backup downloaded copy, a printed copy, especially when you are going through reservation lands, which a lot of New Mexico, there's a lot of reservation lands. Use cruise control, okay? Listen to your audiobook, use cruise control, and it's good for your gas tank. Don't allow your gas to get below half a tank. I am normally notoriously awful for this. I kind of wait until it's on red, but that's in my normal life. Not when I am traveling on a budget, because you don't want to get stuck on reservation land and it's 115 miles until the next gas station. And that was something interesting that I learned out there is I would finally get to a gas station and they'd be out of gas. They just wouldn't have any. So then I'd have to go find another one. Set a daily budget. There is a resource called Trail Wallet, which lets you day by day enter in what you've spent on gas, on food, on hotel, on excursions. And it's great for you to be able to keep track of each day what you spent, and then also overall on the trip. Travel off season, right? I think everybody knows this, is if you go to Alaska in the summer, it's going to be a lot more expensive than going to Alaska in the winter. Prepare a location wish list. Part of the fun of all of this is the ideation, the dreaming of thinking about a place you've always wanted to go. Search for free activities. I mean, honestly, some of my favorite things to go see, I love seeing museums, art, historical sites. I'm kind of nerdy about that, because that stuff is really cool, though. I love funky land formations, scenic overlooks. And it's fun. Some of the stuff that they have out there, even on the Road Trippers app, is the largest tack in the world, and it's huge. I don't know who did that, but it's fun. However, just know everything is not going to go as planned, okay? Especially after COVID. There are a lot of places that have closed, even state parks that they're doing maintenance on, or working hours have changed. If you happen to read my blog, you will see a lot about my fails, and I'm very open and honest about it. I think they're kind of funny. But yeah, I didn't get to see everything that I wanted to see, some of which because I didn't look at the internet the evening before. But it happens. I thought that this meme was funny. Flat tire, no problem. I pack the jack first. So when you are traveling on a budget, there's just going to be stuff out of your control. You might be staying at the hotel and somebody gets in, there might be kids in the room next to you. The walls might end up being paper thin. But just shake it off, be flexible, know that the next day is going to be a fresh start. And, and it's fun. I mean, and at the end of the day, it's all small potatoes. And I guess my last slide wasn't there. But my last slide was, it said, any questions? So I'd love to open it up if anybody has any questions.
So we did have one question
we're going to need
online.
More than that.
Which nice two-star hotels?
Ooh. I mean, honestly, I stayed at the Best Western, Days Inn. Really, it just depends on where you're staying, okay? So check out, booking.com, and just look and see some of them aren't even chains. Some of them are just local. And this is another fun fact that I noticed when I was out there staying at these places. A lot of people who are traveling, they brought their dogs. But the dogs weren't barking in the rooms. I saw that they brought their dogs with them, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, when I was a kid, we always traveled with the dog.
Yeah. I just thought that was neat. In a lot of the hotels, they're catering to that. So they don't have carpet in the rooms anymore. They're concrete floors because stuff happens.
So we'll give everybody online a minute or two to think about questions. Hang on just a second.
Does anybody else have any tips?
All right. What destination is the best travel value in the continental U.S., especially for families?
Ooh, that's tricky. I'm going to want to know who threw that curveball. Gosh. Well, I don't know. The quick answer is I don't know. And traveling for families, that's a different one too. I mean, do they live here in the area? Okay.
Yeah, it's somebody who works at the library. I can tell by the name.
Ooh. Yeah, gosh, I don't know as far as the United States, but I would say New Mexico is really affordable. It was really, I was paying $50 a night, $70 a night for the hotel. And that state in particular is great driving distance from here. And on the way, you can check out some of our really cool state parks too. But I can tell you what it's not. It's not Walt Disney World. I've never been there before. I've always wanted to go, and I hope someday, as an adult, to go without my family. And I'd love to go with a friend or something. But gosh, I'm so intimidated by it because everything has changed. You have to book all of the rides, and that's what we need a speaker to break down Walt Disney World.
I actually know somebody who's a travel agent for just Disney.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Perfect.
Have you used City Pass for discounts to museums or parks?
Ooh, good question. I did use City Pass way back in the day. I think I used City Pass, I used it a few years ago in Seattle and Portland. It's one of those things where you really have to do the math. You have to do the math and make sure, you've got to go to the 6 places or so for it to kind of pay for itself. So it really just kind of depends on, some people are willing to spend more money on excursions than others. Some want to do 5 excursions and spend $50 on each one, while somebody else might want to do like a private Jeep ride in the Grand Canyon, and that's a couple $100. So it really just kind of depends on your budget.
Somebody said, my tip, keep a notebook with hours, prices, and addresses to the places that you want to see.
Ooh.
But you had mentioned that you forgot to check the internet the night before, so things are really changing, I would assume, because of COVID.
Yeah, so the place that I wasn't able to go to, but I promise I am going to get there someday, is called Meow Wolf. I don't know if you guys haven't heard of Meow Wolf, it is one of the coolest looking things that I've ever seen. It's an immersive art experience, and gosh, I really want to go. It's in Santa Fe, and I planned on going right after this Albuquerque, tram ride. And the night before, I was on the internet, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get my tickets. I got my tickets for the tram ride. I was like, okay, I'm going to get my tickets for Meow Wolf. And then I was like, gosh, well, but what if the tram ride, takes longer? I didn't want to, and I ended up kicking myself because the tram ride ended on time. And then as soon as I got back in the car, I looked at tickets for Meow Wolf, and they were completely sold out for the rest of the day. And I was like, oh, man. So now I know. But yeah, I really want to go back there. That place looks super cool. And now he has locations, I think, in Vegas, in Denver. I was so inspired by him. His name's Vince, that I actually looked him up on LinkedIn and sent him an invitation request and was just like, hey, I'm a big fan. And he accepted it, and we've corresponded ever since. So
That's cool. Okay, let me see if we have any other questions.
Ooh, we have one in the crowd.
So on the National Park Pass, is it for the carload, or is it for, do you have to buy it separately for people? How does that work?
I think that's for the car.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so great question. The question was on the National Park Pass, asking if that was per person or if that was for the car. And I'm almost positive that's for the entire car. So so that's pretty cool. Great question.
Does it have to be in the car with you?
Yes, I'm so glad that you asked that. So we had a pass. My husband is retired military, and he had a state park, or the park pass for, I forget whatever that is, one of the cities in Arizona that we went to, Sedona. And so he had to when you show the park pass at the gate, it has a signature on the back. It has to match. They ask for your driver's license, so they have to match. So I took my husband's park pass with permission, and I brought it with me to New Mexico when I went on my solo trip and tried to go through the gate. And the young lady there was like, is this park pass yours? And I was like, well, it's my husband's. We've been married for 20 years. And they were like, nope, sorry, he has to be present. And I was like, okay, well, this is dumb. And what was really funny was she directed me to the visitor center, and I went in there and I explained to them what happened, and I said I'm a disabled veteran. I have had a back injury in the Navy and all of that, and with the VA, and I said, so can I qualify for a park pass? And what was really funny is they gave me a park pass, and it's so much better than my husband's. Like my park pass under my name is like free camping everywhere. So my husband's park pass is 50% off all camping, off all that stuff. Mine's 100% free, all the camping spots. So it's really cool.
Have you tried camping in the national park by
I haven't yet. I haven't.
And that was, have you tried camping in the national parks by yourself?
Oh yes, I'm so sorry. I forgot to say that. No, I want to do it, but we unfortunately we experienced a garage fire, and so we lost all of our camping gear. So, but lucky for my husband, he's been buying all new stuff. So yeah, I definitely plan on trying it out this summer. My next trip that I'm planning, if anybody's curious, is a solo trip to Arkansas. So I'm really excited about that. Just putting together. And then I'm doing another one to Oklahoma to Broken Bow by myself. I encourage all mothers to do that. Take a little break from your families for your own mental health, and you'll come back and miss them, and it'll be a wonderful thing. Any other questions or fun facts to share?
It looks like we don't have any more questions online. I will say Fayetteville is beautiful.
Oh, I can't wait. I've never been. I'm so excited.
Yeah. They a little bit outside of Fayetteville, they have a working grist mill called War Eagle.
Ooh.
And in the fall, they have, sometime in October, they do like the whole area. There's probably like 25 or 30 craft fairs. War Eagle is the original one, but there's all these other ones that have kind of grown up around that. Of course, it's also in the middle of Razorback football season, so
Yes,
you have
that's
to
right.
book hotels a year in advance if you're going to go do the craft shows in October.
Well, speaking of craft fairs, here's a shameless plug. Arts Goggles this weekend, everybody. So, support the community. 'Tis the season of arts festivals. All these folks need our help. I have a question to the group, if that's okay. It breaks my heart that y'all aren't here today. If I have any friends, hi. To everybody, thanks for joining. I would love to hear what your favorite in the United States travel destination is that you are encouraging all the rest of us to check out on a budget.
Post your answers in the chat.
So I liked Iowa.
So we have somebody who likes Iowa. Tell us more.
I thought that the road trip part was great because you were driving a lot through cornfields because it's very rural. And that we went and saw Field of Dreams.
Oh my gosh.
We stayed out on a hotel that walked out to the lake, and people were ice fishing on it.
Wow.
That was something Texas, we don't get to see that.
Right.
We did see some snow because we went during spring break, but it was still snowing there. But it was just really pretty. And then I also like to see those the biggest things. Like
Yes, that's what I'm
the
saying.
biggest skillet. So Iowa seemed to have a lot of funky stuff.
Yes.
And then when we were at Field of Dreams, we were really near Wisconsin, and so we went to the House on the Rock.
And that's where I'm from. I'm from Wisconsin.
Yeah. So we went to the House on the Rock, and I didn't know what to expect there, but that's probably one of the funkiest places I've ever been.
Oh, I love that. So for all of you, do you want to catch them up? Field of Dreams.
Yeah, so Iowa was the location of choice, going to Field of Dreams, and then near Wisconsin,
Yeah, we were near Wisconsin.
the House on the Rock. The House on the Rock.
I'm going to have to give that a Google because I'm from Wisconsin and it sounds familiar, but I'm not picturing it.
We have somebody in the chat who says Cascades Olympic National Park in Washington.
Ooh, very nice, very nice. Yes, Washington's incredible. Has anybody ever gone to the Smoky Mountains? That is one of my favorite destinations. Good old Sevierville, where Dolly Parton's from. No, I didn't go to Dolly World, couldn't afford it. I was on a budget. But the Smoky Mountains are just gorgeous. And lots of little craft fairs and artisans too. And then, Pigeon Forge is there doing its thing. What else? Any other fun places?
I mean, when I was a kid, we would go to Charleston all the time. I have family there.
So I've never been. That's on my bucket list. As a matter of fact, I haven't done this trip yet, but I planned a trip from Azle, Texas. That's where I live, in Azle. Basically to North Carolina. And so it goes all along Louisiana, and so it's checking out the plantation homes and a lot of, those trees, the mossy trees. Those are fun, except for the chiggers. But yeah, like checking out all the cool spots, and then Georgia and Myrtle Beach and all. I haven't been to really any of those, so I just thought that would be really cool.
All right, well, it looks like we're out of questions. So I want to thank you, Cortney, for being here tonight, and for everyone who's joined us. I hope you gathered some good information. Cortney will be back with us on May 5th here at Central Library and on Zoom, and she's going to talk about traveling solo, so we sure hope you come back for that. And if you'd like to review or share the information of today's presentation, we did record it, and we'll post it to our YouTube page in the next week or so. We'd love for you to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. And I also have a copy of the presentation, so I can email that out to everybody who is online tonight. So thank you very much for joining us.